Welcome back everyone. You're watching the training week from January 13th, where we are continuing the road to the dream Pagan Coleman connection, which was the weekly focus, and weekly highlights was a trip dub from the air track on Tuesday. Trip dub, is a massive one for me because I get completely lost even when I put it in my head. But finally I was able to make the 3 twists around, so we'll see that on the Tuesday. If there was a weekly low, I popped my knee out on Saturday. It wasn't too serious, so that gives me another talking point as well. But the Pagan Coleman thing, that was a pretty decent step there. I caught Pagan in a pretty nice stretch and decided to test the waters, and I think I'm ready. So 2 things. First thing is doing the stand in front half of the bar into the Coleman, I feel like has kind of reached its peak, and if I want to catch the Coleman, I'm going to have to get more precise in my training. I'm going to have to jump higher, or like kick out earlier. So I've pretty much capped, what kind of Coleman I can get from this sort of a jump. And yeah, I could take it a bit more specifically and try to master this little drill, but in the end, doing the Coleman from a real Pagan is going to be slightly different. Similar, but different. And I don't have too much time to play around with all these dreams I have for 2025. But so I think it's time that I get a mat slide for Pagan, which I've actually started doing this week. But getting a mat slide for Pagan and just trying one. Time to try it again. It's been about 4 years or so, but time to try connecting it again to see what kind of Coleman a full stretch Pagan will produce, and start creeping my way towards ideally catching it. So that's where we're at on the Pagan Coleman. In other news, probably the best stoop half I've done right there. Tuesday stoop halves were popping, but still slightly on the inconsistent side. So I think we're approaching the triple double pretty soon. Man, even if it's into the pit, even if it's on my face, it makes me so happy just to go back and look at the video and to see my body doing the 2 flips, 3 twists. And I was actually a little bit encouraged because, I had to trick myself. If you remember the previous week, the moment I even put 3 twists in my head, my flick flag changed, my takeoff changed, everything changed. So I had to trick myself and really say, look, focus on a nice double back 2.5. And sure enough, the moment I took off and felt that the takeoff was somewhat okay, it wasn't good, but it was somewhat okay, nothing compared to my double back 2.5 takeoffs, I just wrapped that thing in. I wrapped it in as tight as I could, and next minute I'm facing the pit, so I knew, yep, that's 3 twists. So air sense has never been a strength of mine, but just this triple double looks like such an amazing skill. I just want to have a visual of me doing it. So here we go. Started things off with a layout, double lay, did some twists. So 2.5, pretty good. And boom, there it is. Pretty much the same as my double back full of P by entry, but 3 twists made around, and it makes me happy to see it. And to be honest, after the turn I was like, well, if I actually get the same takeoff as I get for my 2.5 with that sort of wrap into the twists, I could probably stand it up into the pit, or at least it could be feet first, and that's kind of been my goal for many years, to at least have a little mat in the pit and stand it up onto my feet. However, I did get a hiccup on the Saturday, so I entered the pit a little bit funny, and I've probably talked over the years on a few occasions about my kneecaps having a shallow patella groove, which makes them quite prone to popping out of place. I've had a full dislocation before. I've had probably about 10 subluxations, and unfortunately I got a minor one on Saturday. So I entered the pit a little bit funny, a little bit loose, and my left leg kind of went out of place. So immediately I like grabbed my knee because I was deep underneath the pit in darkness, just grabbing my knee to make sure that it's like in place, freaking out a little bit because I have some serious trauma, to be honest, from all the subluxations and the full dislocation. And by the way, if you didn't know, a dislocation is when the kneecap or any joint is just completely locked out of place. So the most common with shoulders and knees. I know you can dislocate ankles, and I'm sure there's other things, but a subluxation is where it moves out but then comes right back in. So obviously there are different degrees because it can go out more or less, and I was able to walk with a limp straight after, so it wasn't bad. And good news, I'm already back doing a little bit of tumbling this week, but that incident did make me think like, man, I really need to rewire my flick flack so I'm not so that I have a surplus when I'm entering the pit. So I'm gonna start chipping away at that tumbler's flick flack again. So yeah, so I'm tumbling. So the knee, really lucky, to be honest. Usually my knee swells up a bunch when that happens, but there was literally like next to no swelling. So I lucked out. But enough about the negative. We stay focused on the positive. And the positive is that in the next few sessions, I mean, I'm ready to throw this Pagan Coleman. So now I'm just waiting on the good catch. I could talk about what I did yesterday, but I'll save it for the next training week, so we're not skipping ahead too much. But see, here you see me, I'm like experimenting with jumping higher, and that changed the front half feel. It also made me rotate a bit too much, so if you can imagine, catching the bar at around horizontal is good, but if your body dips down too much away from horizontal, that's really going to take power away for the Coleman. So like I said at the start, to catch the Coleman out of this front half, I'm going to need to get a lot more specific on the front half, but I would rather just start, I feel confident enough that if I catch a Pagan at a good distance, I'll know what to do. And that was good distance, but I remember that specific term because I was ready to fly forwards off the bar. Both hands just had the dowel on. Neither hands were completely on, so you saw me tucking there. It wasn't me tucking to do a pretend Coleman, it was me tucking because I thought I was flying off the bar, fam. I thought I was goners. I've done it before. I've done one, it's on my gram somewhere, where I just literally flew to my back to like a candlestick to the edge of the high bar mat, so went flying forwards. Stoop halves weren't as good as the Tuesday ones, so I got to keep chipping away at them. And I was planning again on the Friday to give that triple double another turn with a proper set to see if maybe I can enter the pit feet first. But unfortunately, when I did the kind of double just enter the pit funny, maybe there was more foam on one side, like on my left side, than the right side, because this turn right here, yeah, you can even see I was a little bit loose in that last flip. I tucked it in. So right now I'm like in darkness, feeling around my knee because I'm deep under the pit to make sure that it's not out, kind of freaking out. Then here I'm like, okay, it's in, but how bad is it? How bad is it? Am I okay? Am I going to be able to get out of this pit? And just not happy because it's happened so much, and it's like, it's quite painful when it happens. Plus you hear like the crunch in your, in your muscles. You probably get like some slight tears in there. But here we go, I'm moving, and poor old Mish has to limp his way back to the camera. But rest assured, we're okay. We're okay, only a minor hiccup, literally back to it the following week. And we have a lot of things to talk about following week with the National 360 camp. So thank you for watching, thank you for your support, all the best, and until next time.